Upon graduation from the Talent Education Institute in Matsumoto, Japan, Dr. Shinichi Suzuki humbly asked his graduates to make the following pledge.
We as Suzuki teachers realize the unlimited possibilities of early education.
We realize that every child can be educated.
Our purpose is to develop this ability
and present this fact to the world.
We're delighted to be teachers of the Suzuki method
and fully comprehend the responsibilities we have as teachers.
We will continue to study teaching in the future with much reflection.
And through this continuing study, we will be better able to concentrate energies toward better teaching.
We solemnly affirm that we will keep this promise as Suzuki method teachers
and always do our utmost for our common purpose of educating the children of the world.
When we teach, we're often in isolation. Every day is you with your students and your parents. And it's hard, it's difficult, because you work very hard to create something in your kids, create something with the parents, create that community. And you're always nurturing someone, you're always teaching someone. And teachers need that too. Teachers need to be nurtured. And that's what happens when you go to the Institute and receive teacher training.
It's very productive. It gives you such a great insight into what you need to improve and what you're doing well, and just gives you a good chance to sit back and analyze how you're working with your kids.
Everyone is on a continuum of understanding about what it means to learn with love, and that all of us can learn. And that does mean adults as well. We have to be like children to learn anything. I think one of the hardest things for adults is that they have things to unlearn before they can learn like a child. And to me that's very exciting, because I think that we will have greater ability to communicate Dr. Suzuki's vision of excellence with nurture.
In other methods, I got a lot of training about how to teach the actual instrument and which pieces to use and how to do all of that. But in the Suzuki training that I got, it was not only how to teach the instrument, but also how to work with the parents to create a really wonderful learning environment.
I feel so lucky to have been able to be a part of this whole training experience, because it fires you up for the whole rest of the year. You come back from training and you have notebooks filled with ideas. Maybe you won't use them all, maybe you'll try them, but it nurtures you, it fills you back up, and it gets you ready to go.
I have noticed that the teacher development program has been planned with much thought and much insight and much experience. I think there's always room to grow in any program as we see what works better and in that regard. But I'm so pleased with what we have to offer for new teachers and people that are interested in more education.
For the actual content of what happens in training, we have Every Child Can, which is a fantastic basic course for everybody, and has organized the sequence of learning. So that's the first thing that the SAA has done. The SAA works with long-term training programs, and the SAA also encourages and works with institutes so that training can be available.
What happens at an institute is there's learning happening at all levels. There are students here and they're learning how to improve their instrumental skills. Parents are gaining skills of how to work with their children, and the teacher workshop participants, they are learning how to be teachers.
I expected to come and learn some tricks to teach some children, and what really happened was I learned the whole philosophy, how to approach each person as a capable human being, and every child can do this. So it changed the way I teach. It changed the way I wanted my children, meaning my students, to treat each other, and it really changed the way I treat people in general in my life.
The thing that makes it special to me is first and foremost the striving for excellence. I think that in our country, in our society, we're really kind of getting away and we're just really satisfied with, oh, that's okay, that's okay. But the training that I'm taking has shown me not only how to strive to be better and better and better, but the why and the how.
Well, one of the ways that I think the SAA has helped teachers to continue to grow and improve in their teaching is by taking our new course, the Suzuki Philosophy in Action, and the practicum. And both of those courses are places where we really focus on the how of teaching rather than the what of teaching.
I would recommend for anyone who has taken many short-term courses to sign up for the practicum. Just turn on the tape recorder. That's what I did. I just turned on the tape recorder and taped a bunch of lessons and pick one that you think was the best or maybe had the most problems and bring it to the practicum. Sign up for the practicum. It's a brave step, but you have to do it because you'll learn so much about your teaching.
The practicum, out of all of my training, I found to be the most valuable because you get new perspectives on different ways that you can do things or talk with children or work with children that can improve your own teaching. And going into it, I was a little bit intimidated by that, having to show my videotapes to all of these people. But in the end, it was just so non-judgmental, and it was just a really, confidence-building experience for me.
Lifelong learning is something that means that we're always growing and we're always looking for new things. And we're often asked, how much training do I have to have? And once you get started in the Suzuki method and the Suzuki training, the beginning levels are probably the hardest to learn. But as we continue, the pieces become more traditional, more general musical knowledge. However, first of all, the Suzuki philosophy is always there as we're teaching them. And the idea of continuing the training is also the idea of still being with other people and being inspired by the other ideas.
When I first studied Volume 1, a very wise and trusted mentor told me, you're going to need to do this again, especially after you've been teaching. Teach 5 or 6 years and come back and do it again. And now that I'm doing it, I see exactly what she meant. There are many different ways to do something is really expanded. And I feel already that I'm going to go home with a lot of tools that I didn't have before I came here, and solutions for issues that maybe I had 1 or 2 solutions, but I'm going to go home with many more, which of course is going to serve the students a great deal.
I started teaching over 30 years ago, but as every teacher learns, the more you teach, the more you learn. And the more you learn, the more realization you have that every child is different. Every learning style requires that teacher to be just 2 steps ahead and to be forever diagnosing.
As a teacher, I'm constantly inspired by watching other teachers. I'm constantly inspired by my students. Every time I give a teacher training class or I do anything, I'm learning as well as anybody else. I can't imagine not wanting that. We are a group of colleagues, and nobody knows anymore where a particular idea originated. We all take everybody's ideas and use them and elaborate on them, and then we're all better for it. One of the things that always inspired me by Dr. Suzuki was the fact that he never stopped growing and learning and changing his ideas. He was always looking for something new. In the early years of my knowing him, every year he came up with a new teaching plan, a new teaching thing. It was some new idea. And I think he continued to do that all his life. He was always looking for a better way to do things. He was always being inspired by whatever he saw and heard. And to me, if I'm not learning, if I'm not growing, what's the point of even being alive? It's the most important thing.
Fulfilling Dr. Suzuki's wish of lifelong learning is both our challenge and our promise.
We solemnly affirm
that we will keep this promise.
That we will keep this promise
as Suzuki Method teachers
and always do our utmost
for our common purpose
of educating the children of the world.